This call is now being recorded.
Esteemed Regional Director Dr. Shahnawaz Ahmad sir, esteemed Assistant Regional Director Dr. Mudassir Hassan Bhatt, and our respected coordinators who have joined from their very place, followed by our guests, or I can say esteemed academic counselors who have been with us and who have joined us in this online meet despite of their very schedule, busy schedule. Basically, the purpose of this meet is just to streamline the process of submission of the synopsis, or I can say the evaluation of projects. So the meet has been called in such in respect of that, so that all the modalities, or I can say the nitty-gritties which has been involved, or which is being involved in the starting from the preparation of synopsis, or just to choose the guide, then followed by the submission of that very synopsis to the regional center, followed by this evaluation. So all that modalities will be discussed in detail. So without wasting much of time, I request Assistant Regional Director Dr. Mudassir Hassan Bhatt to come online and start the deliberation. Over to you, sir, Dr. Mudassir Hassan.
But the Regional Director, sir, Dr. Shahnawaz Ahmad sir, respected coordinators of various study centers, counselors of various subjects, Mr. Javed Saab, PA to Director. Welcome to this online interaction meeting regarding synopsis projects of various courses. This meeting has been invited, you have been invited to this meeting following some concerns. Over the past 1 year, we have seen that a number of students, a number of learners face problems in supervision of their synopsis and projects. Actually, what came to our notes that the learners do not have the proper information, and that process is complicated when the supervisors or counselors and the faculty at our LSCs, they too do not have the proper information regarding this. So in this first interaction meet, we have chosen the programs, that's psychology, education, anthropology, MSc DFSN, MCA, BCA, MBA, and MSc Environmental Sciences. Actually, the process of synopsis, that is some courses there is dissertation, some courses there is only research project. The process is entirely different from each and every course. IGNOU in its setup has made a course guide for each and every program. MA Psychology has a synopsis and a project. MA Education too has a dissertation component. MSc DFSN and MCA, they too have projects. For each and every project, guidelines are issued by IGNOU that are pertaining to the eligibility of counselors that can act as guide to the learners. First and foremost thing is that when a learner approaches us with synopsis, there are several issues. Sometimes the synopsis is not forwarded properly by the concerned LSC coordinator. Sometimes the guide is not eligible for supervision, or there are many other deficiencies. We will take up these issues one by one in this meeting. This is just an information session for all of you, so that we can communicate to you what exactly is the process, so that our learners do not face any inconvenience. Sometimes when learner approached us at regional center with a synopsis or his project, it's very difficult for us to ask the learner to visit again to his supervisor or center. He normally, the learners are from far off areas. So proper guidance is a must for all of these learners. That's why counselors that are an integral part. In fact, counselors are at the base of IGNOU setup. It's the counselors who guide the learners, who provide counseling sessions, evaluation of assignments, and all other work. So, proper communication, proper information to the learners is very important. First, I will take projects or synopses that are submitted at the regional center. At regional center, synopsis of MA Psychology, MA Education, MCA, BCA, MBA, and MSc Environmental Science are submitted by the learners. For MSc Environmental Science program, there is a component MEVP 11. Guidelines are issued by the IGNOU headquarters that what process is to be followed. The learners have to submit for MSc Environmental Science, I'm talking, because we have a bulk of students from MSc Environmental Science. In that very guidelines, that synopsis is to be submitted at the study center. But in that very, and evaluated by the study center. But still, a slight deviation has been there. Students submit their synopsis at the study center, but for evaluation, we call synopsis to the regional center. That's done to ensure speedy disposal and evaluation of the synopsis. Now, what are the main issues that a learner faces, or what information the counselor needs? First of all, learners as well as counselors and staff should have that manual or guide that is provided by the IGNOU. All counselors who are eligible to supervise the learners should go through that guide. That is very important. First and foremost, eligibility of the supervisor or guide is mentioned. We came across several synopses where guide is not a research, this guide doesn't have any research experience. In that very case, we had clearly instructed, we have clearly issued directions to the coordinators that kindly engage only those counselors that have the research background. Because if a counselor who is pursuing research or hasn't any research experience in the past, he cannot supervise properly, he cannot guide properly for research project. So it's very important. In fact, it's mandatory for a counselor to act as a supervisor in case of research projects, to have some research experience, be it MPhil, be it PhD, or any postdoctoral experience of research. So this is one point, very important point, because it is the base of everything. If a counselor who is not authorized to supervise signs a synopsis, ultimately that synopsis is returned. Till this time, we had some flexibility in this issue. Sometimes we acted at leniently because counselors do not have proper information. Students do not have proper information. Students do not read the guide. Counselors do not read the instructions. So in light of all this, this session has been called. So first and foremost thing is, this is for the coordinators of LSCs also and counselors also. If you do not have any research experience, kindly do not act as guides to the learners. And for coordinators, counselors who have the research experience, who have the research background, they should be preferred for assigning as supervisors to the learners. In case there are no counselors are not available, so a coordinator of that very center can approach the regional center. We have a vast pool of counselors. It's around 3,000 counselors available. And most of them have research background. Most of them are PhD, postdoc, MPhil, and other research experience. So first point regarding this whole process that starts with the assigning of a supervisor to a learner is that the counselor that acts as a supervisor or guide to a learner should have research experience. This should be preferred, and in case any coordinator or staff at LSE faces any issue, he should bring it to the notice of our regional center. We'll make some arrangements for that. We have a number of counselors available that can be managed. Second thing is regarding the process. First and foremost, a student who has some research component should approach the coordinator of that very center. Actually, if we can streamline the process, the problems will be resolved. First and foremost, a student has to approach, a learner has to approach coordinator. And coordinator shall assign him a supervisor that will guide him for synopsis as well as for project. Next step, when a learner approaches to a counselor, the counselor should have each and every information regarding supervision of that very course. Counselors should ensure that they are eligible for supervision of that course. Counselors should know what's the course code, what are components of the synopsis, what exactly needs to be done in that very synopsis. If a counselor is eligible, he will guide the learner to how he should go for the synopsis. Actually, the issue is with this availability of ready-made synopsis in the market. That has created a problem. We're handling this problem since 1 year. Unfortunately, we had to de-recognize a number of counselors. Maybe either they were at fault or the learner was at fault, the process was not duly followed, the counselor had not duly checked the synopsis. In those very cases, we find that a number of synopses were plagiarized. And learner approached us that they had directly purchased the synopsis from the market, and the counselor or guide had simply signed the synopsis and forwarded to the regional center. This process is very unfortunate because a learner is cheated both ways. First, he is paying to other agents for synopsis, and second, he doesn't get any guidance for making the synopsis. IGNOU, we have requested IGNOU to follow the plagiarism policy, to follow the plagiarism tests, but still at the regional center, we are doing our best to identify if any research synopsis is plagiarized, or two or more learners have submitted the same synopsis, or the learner has purchased the synopsis from the market. And in that case, we take strict action at regional center. So in order to avoid this, the role of counselor is very important. Counselor has to guide the learner properly. How to go with the synopsis? What are the components of the synopsis? How you should proceed in making the synopsis? Be it about the review of literature, how to select your objectives, research questions, what methodology you need to follow for this research, and how exactly you will complete this research project. So, a role of a counselor starts from very initial stage. If the counselor is well aware of all the technicalities and formalities and well aware of the research proposal, he will surely guide the learner in best direction. And learner doesn't have to do those illegal practices of purchasing the synopsis from the market or purchasing the projects from the market. So this was very important point because this is the root cause of every issue that we face at the regional center. Second thing is when a learner when a counselor agrees to supervise the learner, he has to guide the learner in making the synopsis. And afterwards, when the synopsis is completed, the synopsis is to be duly forwarded by the coordinator of that center. In most of the cases, we find that the synopsis is not forwarded by the coordinator. The signature and stamp of coordinator is not there. In that very case, we return that synopsis because the coordinator should have each and every information that the learners of our center are placed under counselors. He should have the data that how many learners are under which counselor. So this is very mandatory that the synopsis should be forwarded through the coordinator of that very center. One more point is that counselors should go through the course guide of that very program. In that very course guide, there are a number of annexures available that needs to be signed by the counselor. Say in case of MA psychology program or MA education program, there are annexures that are to be attached with the synopsis. More often we find that those annexures are missing. Be it the consent letter of the supervisor, be it the pro forma for the evaluation, be it the certificate of originality from the supervisor, and many other annexures. These annexures are available with the course guide, with the program guide. So counselors should download that. In fact, counselors should instruct the learners to get these annexures along with the synopsis. These annexures should be duly signed and duly forwarded. Unfortunately, we had to return a number of learners from here that the annexures are not available. In case of certain programs like MAN, Masters in Anthropology, the learner has to submit his synopsis to the IGNOU headquarters, to the concerned school. And after that synopsis is approved from the concerned school, he has to submit his project at the regional center. More often in these cases, we find that the guide of the learner is not eligible to supervise. And the synopsis is approved by the headquarter. Because in that very approval, only title is mentioned. Title is mentioned. Title of the synopsis is mentioned that this synopsis is approved, but nothing is written about the supervisor, whether he is eligible or not. When the learner finally approaches us with his final project, we find that the supervisor is not eligible. He doesn't fulfill the criteria to supervise. That again creates issues for the learners. In case of MBA, students have to prepare the synopsis and submit it here. Likewise, there are varying processes. So first and foremost thing is that learners as well as counselors who act as guide to these learners should read the course guide thoroughly. That will provide them clear information about the eligibility of the supervisor, about the annexures that need to be attached with the synopsis or the project, and the process that needs to be followed. In the whole process, the coordinators or LSCs, they have to prefer those counselors that have research background. I again repeat that. In case the supervisors, in case the counselors are not available with PhD, with research background are not available, coordinators should approach the regional center, because we can allot a supervisor of one center to another, a learner supervisor of another center also, or at the convenience of the learner, whatever. Even he can choose his supervisor from other than the counselors of the IGNOU. He can choose a permanent faculty from other institution. If that very faculty is eligible, he can act as a guide to the learner. So these are the issues that we generally face over this year. The main and the core issues about the plagiarism. We know that there is a ready-made market available outside, in fact, every study center, and also outside the regional center also, where learners get these ready-made synopses. They charge for that very synopsis. And in some cases, now, unfortunately, some counselors are also involved in that, in making available the ready-made synopsis in the market. So we request all counselors that IGNOU has the payment norms. IGNOU doesn't take your services for free. If you guide a learner for his dissertation or research project work, there are payment norms. You just have to submit that bill pro forma to IGNOU, and we will release the payment due to you. And that bill pro forma is already provided in the course guide. If you go through the course guide, if you go through those pro formas, one of the annexures is bill of the coordinator, bill of the supervisor. Supervisor, after the student completes his project, the supervisor just had to submit that bill pro forma to the regional center through study center, and will release the payment. IGNOU will pay for that. Why a student should suffer for that, when there is already a mechanism of payment to the counselors, to the research supervisors? The students should not be exploited for these things. So we at regional center are trying our best to facilitate our learners, to make the process smooth at our end. Learners should not be exploited. Learners should not go to the unfair practices. They should not resort to unfair practices of purchasing the synopsis. And for any counselor that faces any issues, we are available at regional center to resolve the issues. For any coordinator at LSC, if he has any issue with the synopsis evaluation or assigning of supervisors to the evaluators, or even any other issues, we are available at this. So this was a session meant for information to the counselors that there is a due process. If you follow that due process, you will genuinely guide this learner for supervision of this synopsis and projects, and you will get whatever is due to you. Whatever payment norms IGNOU has fixed for supervision of the synopsis or supervision of the projects, you will get that. And that's a genuine payment. IGNOU doesn't have any hesitation in releasing the payment to the counselors who guide these learners. But the issue is, till date, it's unfortunate that on average, we know more than 5,000 to 10,000 students are submitting the research projects to the IGNOU Regional Center. Not a single counselor has claimed the payment for supervision of the projects. Psychology, we have thousands of learners. In education, we have number of learners. And they are being guided by the counselors. They are being guided by the supervisors. But supervisors are not claiming their payment. And it's clear that supervisors do not offer their services for free. So in the whole process, who is exploited? A learner is exploited in one way or the other. So genuinely, if we follow the process, the learner will not be exploited. The learner will get his due. He will, in fact, learn how to prepare a synopsis. He will have the idea how to go with the research project. That will help him in future career for preparing for future MPhil or PhD or other research component. And as a counselor, as a guide, you will get your due payment that IGNOU has fixed for synopsis or project supervision. So this was information from our side. We know you must have issues from your side also. We're here to learn those. We're here to learn. We're here to address those issues. If any learner, counselor has any issues, our worthy regional director is here. Our section in charge, examination section is also in the meeting. So this was from my side. I hope message that I want to convey has been conveyed. In case of any clarification or in case you can ask questions. Javed sir, if any of the counselor or coordinator has any issues.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed presentation regarding describing the modalities, which starts from preparing the synopsis and which ends by submitting that complete synopsis at the regional center. Now we will be having a question answer session. I would like to request our participants, whosoever is having any questions or any issue or any grievance, he or she can raise the hand, then I will be calling from my side by name. So if you are having any issue, please raise the hand, then I will be calling. So we have with us also the Mr. Shaukat, examination in charge. He may be also addressing those grievances. Yes. Maruf Shabir. Yes, Maruf Shabir, go ahead with your query.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
In fact, I have two questions, sir. The first question is, if a counselor has an approval from the IGNOU University, can he supervise despite having masters only? Can he supervise a student if he is a proper approval from the headquarters?
Okay. The approval that is provided to the counselor is for conducting of the counseling sessions. When an IGNOU counselor applies on the empanelment portal, he is choosing his courses that tomorrow he shall deliver the lectures or he shall have the counseling sessions. That's not for the supervision of the projects.
No, what if a counselor has an approval for dissertation?
For every course, there is a course guide, and eligibility for the counselor to act as supervisor is mentioned.
Sir, look, sir, I am having masters and I have qualified NET and I have few research papers also. I have an approval for dissertation. So can I supervise a student? I have an approval for dissertation anthropology, like this MA and B.
If you have the approval for anthropology, it means you must have submitted the research experience.
Yeah, exactly. I have I'm not yet.
You're a qualified researcher. If you have the research experience, you can go with supervision. There is no issue.
So then, I can supervise a student.
Yes.
I'm having approval for dissertation course.
Yes. The point is that unless supervisor has the research experience, how can he guide the learners? If a supervisor is himself a PG with a NET, he cannot have he doesn't understand what are the technicalities of the research.
No, if he has possibilities, then he can go with it, sir.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Sajad Peer is with us. Sajad Peer, go ahead with your question. Sajad Peer. Sajad Peer. Yes, Sajad Peer. Unmute your audio, Sajad. Unmute your audio. Unmute your audio. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, actually, with regard to the eligibility of supervisors, I'm from LSC Sopor, and I am their academic counselor in environmental science, MSc ENV. And with regard to eligibility of supervisors, in that MVVP brochure, it is mentioned that a supervisor should have 5 years of research or teaching experience. So if a person is having only 5 years of teaching experience at undergraduate level or a postgraduate level, so that means as per this brochure, he is eligible. But what you have said in the meeting is that we cannot supervise if we do not have any research experience. And I am being put as a guide for many students, which I think should be clarified before.
See, regarding MSc Environmental Science, the instructions are very clear. If it is mentioned in the guide that as counselor with a master's degree and 5 years of teaching experience or research experience is eligible for supervision. If you have the 5 years of experience, you are eligible.
5 years of teaching experience.
If it's mentioned that teaching or research experience, see,
Yeah, it is mentioned.
at every step we have to go with the guidelines provided by the IGNOU, and guidelines are clearly mentioned in that very course guide. MEB 11 is there for that MSc Environment Science. It's mentioned that if you have the 5 years of experience teaching or research, you can go with that.
One more thing is that what is the number of students that we can take up for supervision?
Yeah, this is an important question. Actually, coordinators has to deal with this issue. If there are sufficient counselors available to the coordinator, he should rationally distribute students among his counselors. In case coordinator doesn't have sufficient number of counselors available, we have already informed them that they should take up the matter with the regional center.
Okay, sir.
It's not that very important that how number of candidates should be under which supervisor, but the important is that the supervisor should have credentials, should satisfy the eligibility norms for acting as guide to a learner. That's the main point.
Okay.
So rationalization, it's left up to the coordinator. We leave it to the coordinator that he should arrange, he should distribute evenly among his available supervisors, eligible supervisors. And rest guidelines as per given in the course guide are to be followed. I hope this answers.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Jasdeep Singh. Jasdeep Singh, go ahead with your query. Jasdeep Singh. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, the first question which I have is that is in the anthropology in the Mang subject we have the two projects and one is the fieldwork and dissertation. It accounts of the 3 projects to a single candidate. So if we have a 20 students and it accounts about 2 to 20 to 3 projects. However, we have a limited staff here, and as per the guidelines, a mentor can supervise only up to 3 or 5. So can we increase that number, as you said right now, that it is feasible that we or a coordinator of the concerned study center can increase that number?
We at the regional center deal with one component of the projects mentioned in MANP 00. That is MANP 001.
That is fieldwork and dissertation, exactly, sir.
That we deal at the regional center.
Okay.
If any of the coordinator has any issue with this number of counselors availability, or he doesn't have counselors availability, he shall bring it to the notice of the regional center.
Okay,
First
sir.
and foremost, regional center shall make efforts every possible way to make available more number of counselors. In case their counselors are not available, in case supervisors are not available, then directions will be issued from the regional center.
Yes, sir. So second one is actually a request. Actually, you know that during the COVID, we were using the digital signatures for signing the synopsis as well as the projects.
Okay.
However, the students have been seen that they are doing the same thing right now. However, it has become that our signatures and the stamps have become open to all. So it is a common request whenever a project or a synopsis come for your approval or the signatures, kindly make it mandatory that it should have a signature, hard signatures right now of the coordinator as well as the mentor. So that is a general request, because we do not know that how much synopsis and the projects we have signed right now there, sir.
Yeah. Just 10 minutes before, I have returned a synopsis of a learner.
Yeah.
Yes. The issue was that supervisor's signature was scanned. That was not
Yes.
in order. And that was not duly forwarded through the coordinator. I had to return that synopsis.
Yes.
At regional center, for the COVID period, that's okay. But once the COVID periods are over, and now that we ensure that the signature and stamp is in original.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Humaira Nisa. Humaira is with us. Yes, Humaira.
Yes, sir. Just a moment, please.
Okay.
A very good evening to all. I guess it's
Humaira,
evening
if
now.
it is possible for you, you can come on the video.
Sir, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are audible, but we cannot see you.
Okay. Yeah, sir. Sir, actually, I was driving back home from college. Sorry for that. Sir, as you already said that the learners are getting exploited. They are bringing these synopses from roadside shops and photostat walas. So I wanted to just add to your saying that just by the academic counselor being just have done such this teaching experience, he won't be able to tell the learner properly how to make a synopsis. As I have seen many of the learners, they said, मैम हमने तो एक दफा चेक करवा दिया, उसने सर ने academic counselor सर ने check किया and he said okay, go for submission. Sir, as I know, being a researcher, being a doctorate in environmental sciences, I know that the synopsis has the 4 levels of checking. And that is what I am doing. And none of my learner has as yet submitted the synopsis, just because I'm going in between the lines and checking each and everything. So please do tell these academic counselors, even if they just have the teaching experience, to please take this point, just go through this, Google it somewhere and see how the synopsis is being made.
Very well said, very well taken. Actually, we have discussed this earlier, that for coordinators, counselors, those have research experience, that has a research experience, should supervise the learners.
Sir,
Now-
I feel it is like a blow to our subject. I mean, so many people are doing MSc in environmental sciences through IGNOU. That is very good. But please make this degree at least valid, so that these learners can someday teach the subject properly.
That's our concern also.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
that's why guidelines are being issued from time to time. Again, IGNOU has made it clear that, and we at the regional center had issued clear instructions that unless a supervisor doesn't have research experience, he cannot guide a learner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He
Supervisor
cannot.
himself doesn't know what are the components of the synopsis and how to go about the synopsis, what are the
Yes.
technicalities involved in preparing a synopsis and projects. He cannot effectively guide a learner. That's
Yes,
why
sir.
we
Yes, sir.
again repeat that for coordinators, that they should assign only those supervisors to the learners that have the research experience, that have some research experience in the concerned subject. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you for
So one more thing I had to inquire about. So that these learners, some learners are preparing such topics that they need lab for that. Lab analysis is to be done. So how can they go for lab analysis? I mean, can this study center provide them the labs facilities?
I think yes. Our regional director sir is with us. I think at the end of this, director sir will take up this issue. But for our study centers, the learners, no, the lab of the study center is available for the learners,
Yes, sir. It should be. It should be like that.
because it is in the agreement that wherever we have the courses that have practical component,
Yes, sir.
the lab facilities, laboratory facilities of that very institution are available to our learners. And our learners conduct practicals or have, wherever there is a research component, do such research activities in that very labs. Obviously, there is specific time that's only on Sundays or some other holidays, but institution that have agreement that are our study centers has to provide the lab and laboratory facilities to our learners.
Yes, sir. Please make this a point that this study center does provide the facilities.
Very
Thank you
well.
so much, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank
It
you.
was nice
We
talking.
have
Hi, sir. This
we
is
have with
Rifat
us
here.
just Rifat, be there. I'll be following you, Rifat. Sodhi, Jaya Sodhi is with us. Yes, Miss Sodhi, go ahead with your question.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Sir, actually, I'm registered with the Study Center 1210, and my courses of MBS 101, MAE2, and MAE1. But the thing is, and I submitted my empanelment in hand at the SOPER Center. But the thing is, my service has been not utilized yet. I've been not informed anyway.
Okay, have you received the letter of approval from IGNOU headquarters?
Yes, sir.
Next step is you have to, along with that letter, you have to write to the coordinator of your center that I have been approved by the IGNOU headquarters as a counselor. Kindly engage my services as and when required. So whenever the services your services are required by the coordinator, he will call you.
Okay, sir.
From
Thank you.
our end, we try to ensure that we instruct the coordinators at centers that they should rationally distribute the entire workload or entire projects, assignments, and all other activities to all the counselors available at the center, so that each and every counselor gets some opportunity to guide our learners.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sodhi. We have Wasim Kachru with us. Yes, Wasim, go ahead. Wasim
Sir,
Kachru.
can I speak, please?
Just wait. You should raise your hand. I had asked to raise the hand if you have any query.
I'm sorry I wasn't here. So
Yes,
okay, I'm so
Wasim,
sorry.
Wasim Kachru, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Wasim.
Good afternoon, everyone, sir.
Yes, Wasim, come on video, please. Wasim Kachru.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, go ahead. Video will come.
Technical issues in videos are uploading.
Go ahead with your query.
Sir, from last couple of years, I requested the different coordinators for that we should use some plagiarism tools, we should use some workshops regarding synapses. But nobody till yet listen our requests. For people, for sake of student community, we need some plagiarism tools like Mendeley, like Zotero. I requested everyone, but nobody listen our requests. As a researcher needs some tools for plagiarism check, but nobody helps us still yet. As we are servicing in COVID-19, our bills are yet pending, sir.
Okay, see, first point I will take, this is the valid concern regarding plagiarism in the synopsis. If I plainly speak, when a learner approaches a counselor for supervision, say a learner comes to my table with a synopsis, I ask 2-3 questions. And from those very 2-3 questions, it is very clear whether the learner has prepared synopsis or himself or he has purchased it from the market. If a counselor who is a guide to a learner asks simply few questions to a learner, how you have prepared this synopsis, what is your methodology, how you will achieve these research objectives, I think things are very clear at that very moment, whether learner has prepared synopsis himself or he has purchased this synopsis. Yes, there should be software available for plagiarism test, but at present we don't have. At regional center, what we are doing is we are checking each and every topic.
Sir, how can we improve, sir, the quality of research for the learners, sir? If there is not availability of these tools, sir, I request lot of learners to bring some synapses. When they come with synapses, they are from copy and paste, sir. When I check from my software, it is 100% plagiarism, sir.
Exactly. So you have the software available with you, you do it.
Yeah,
it's
100%. We have,
it's
sir.
very fine. It's very, very appreciating. But even if you don't have software available with you, if you ask a learner how you have prepared this synopsis, how you have chosen the research objectives, what about the research methodology, from that very moment, it's very clear.
Sir, for that, I requested, sir, 100 times for our coordinators that I will make some workshops regarding research, how to make research, how to make synapse formation. But nobody listens till yet, sir. If they give us that type of environment, we will establish a proper research environment in our learning center. As we know, our worthy coordinator is very helpful us, but he needs some sort of support from the director, sir.
Yes. Yeah. See, if a counselor genuinely guides a student, more number of learners will approach that very counselor. So if a counselor at any LSC properly guides any student, the learners, he becomes a favorite for the learners. More number of students will ask the coordinator to place us with that very counselor, Your point is genuine. You can have these sessions at your study center. You can call upon all the counselors that have the research background along in coordination with your LSC coordinator and have some interaction and have some sessions regarding that. And you will do it because that's in interest of the learners, in interest of your study center also. And that's
Sir,
it.
sir, we have
You can do
requested.
that. You can do this activity. You can
Sir,
even
our-
call
our-
the students also and guide them how to make the synopsis. You can have the batches of students and no, in one go you can address to hundreds of students that how you can prepare your synopsis. That's
Sir,
very
if we
helpful.
make research very easy, then we need some programs for workshop it. Then understand how to start, how to literature review is collected, how to make citations, sir.
Yes.
For that, our coordinator 1210 is very intelligent and very affordable, but he needs some sort of background for it, sir.
See, conducting a session at LSC is the discretion of the coordinator of that LSC.
Sir, he needs some sort of support from your side for that. Some workshop should be done for research development awareness in the learners for upcoming non-background faculty students, sir. They are not aware what to do, where to do, and where to start, sir.
Okay. Every coordinator of LSC submits as a schedule of counseling sessions. Every coordinator submits proposals for activities that are conducted at this. So coordinators have to take this initiative and submit the proposals. That can be a session of all counselors also. An orientation or a session like this where counselors can be made about informed about the technicalities involved in guiding research. So there's no hesitation or there is no hindrance from our end. Coordinators can decide.
Okay, Wasim, let's take the question from Ukab Ali. Ukab Ali, yes, go ahead with your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, timing again, we have been seeing questions of environmental science, and I'm from the same subject.
Yes.
First thing is that we have been approved the counselors in 2019. Till date, there isn't any confirmation from any college that you will teach the environmental sciences.
Okay.
Is it? Second is, sir, regarding the plagiarism. Recently, we have checked some of the synopses in the, and I'm sure about 90% of synopses were copy pasted. Even the literature is available in the Kashmir University website, and they have copied. Our counselors have signed those synopses, which they themselves would know that these are the copy paste synopses. Still, it has been approved. Third thing is that there are certain topics, like I would like to mention one topic here. One of the counselor has approved a topic that is on Siachen Glacier. Know from where the counselor will go and get an approval to visit the Siachen Glacier and get the samples for climate change. See that we know that environmental science has been approved by the IGNOU Regional Center. It doesn't matter that we will use this subject in such a way that it will degrade the whole integrity of the subject. You know that there are 1200 candidates which are doing the masters in environmental sciences. And it's not like a photostat copy that we are making 1200 PGs. We are well aware about the fact that there are number of teachers which are associated with this degree. We know that it's an open choice. Everyone can choose their subject. But the thing is that whenever it comes to integrity of the subject, that there should be no partiality. And so you see, I have seen the synopsis where someone has suggested a counselor that he has written waste management in Pulwama, and then another has written waste management in one of the nearest town, waste management in another town, waste management in, like you have Rajbagh, you have Imra. When we know it's a waste management is a common topic, how can a counselor suggest a same topics to the number of students, and then he can copy paste the material and put it before the committee? Please, sir, I request to the regional director of this IGNOU that if you have approved 1200 candidates, it's not like a photostat copy that it is mandatory to take 1200. At least there should be some capping. It's not like we are producing till date. I'm giving you the current statistics from Kashmir University and SUKAS. There are only 2500 PGs that are passed out as masters from environmental science, and we are giving 1200 PGs a degree from IGNOU. That doesn't mean that we don't want them to study, but in order to have rationalization of the subject, we should go properly. And you know that teaching is a good process. And one of my sir, that was Sajjad sir, was saying that how is a PG student or UG, you know that having a teaching experience at UG and doing a research topic is totally different. You are teaching at an undergraduate level, and then you are guiding a student which is having masters, which has to get a master's degree. We should think on these things, because ultimately it depends upon the quality and quantity of the education. By these things, if we will not adopt these things, like I am telling that we have seen 80% of the synapses of the students, they were copy pasted, directly copy pasted. There wasn't there is only the verbatim has been changed and nothing else has been changed. And the topic has been approved by the counselor. It should be looked upon, because ultimately the main aim of the IGNOU is to quality education for those who could not go for a regular course. But that does not mean that we will do such things in the education that will hamper the quality of the education. I request to decrease the number of these PG these admissions in the, especially in science subjects, because neither they attend the classes nor they do the practicals in a well planned manner. I request, sir, that at least there should be a capping on that, please.
Okay, Yuqab, your question, your grievance has been well taken. It will be looked upon. Okay. So we have with us Khan Ruhi. Khan Ruhi is with us. Miss Ruhi, you can come and put your question. Khan Ruhi. Okay, Wahid Shah is with us. Yes, Wahid Shah. Wahid Shah. Prabal Verma. Go ahead with your question, Prabal Verma.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Prabal Verma from NIT Srinagar. So, main thing is that first the coordinator should systematically distribute the synopsis, and secondly, there should be.
Sorry, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. We are listening to you.
Second, there must be a plagiarism report at the end of the synopsis or dissertation. So, and counselor should sign that. Fine. And the counselor should be PhD for masters in computer science subject, at least.
Okay, Prabal Verma, basically I am one of the counselor for this MCA program, and
Yes,
basically there are rules in black and white. If we go through the program guide, through the booklet or project, it is already mentioned who will be the synopsis or project guide for that particular program, whether it is MCA or BCA. So it is written white if he is having any experience. So there are various clauses. So if the person is fulfilling that clause, he can be this project supervisor, or I can see the guide of that student.
Fine.
Dr. Verma, your suggestion is very valid. That
plagiarism report should be added at the end.
That is very valid suggestion, and we have been taking up this with the headquarters that for every project submitted to the IGNOU, there should be a plagiarism test. In fact, after clearing that plagiarism test, only that report should be accepted.
Sir,
but as of date, we don't have that very facility available at the regional center. Projects that are submitted to the IGNOU headquarters do follow this very policy that they have the plagiarism test. So this is very valid suggestion, and we have been working on this. Hope in future, in this session or next session, IGNOU will look into that issue. We have raised this concern a number of times that what their policy is that this is the learning stage of the learners.
Yeah.
By going these projects or dissertations, this is learning for doing further research. But at this initial stage, if a learner knows that how to complete this, foundation becomes strong. Foundation becomes clear to go about. He doesn't follow those illegal practices of research. So this is a very valid, well-taken suggestion.
Sir,
Okay, thank you.
Sir, okay, fine.
So we are running the short of time. I'll be taking one more question. Wahid Shah will come immediately. Yes, Wahid.
Yes, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Sir, actually, what is the duration of the time for completion of dissertation? Question 1. Second is that how many students a counselor can guide? That is question 2. Third is that remuneration given after the completion of any dissertation just 500, 1000. I think this is not the enough. Can you give answer to these questions, sir?
Okay. First was regarding
duration time. What is the duration of time in which we have to complete a dissertation?
When a learner registers for second year of his, he is eligible for submission of his dissertation. As soon as he registers for second year, he can go for his synopsis and project submission. And the maximum period is his validity of the course. If his validity expires, he cannot submit his dissertation or project. So we inform all learners to go for their synopsis or dissertation in the second year of their course. So Valentine.
Second question is, sir, how many students a counselor can guide?
Second
Majority
point,
student here.
earlier we have communicated to all the coordinators that these should be rationally distributed, and we had fixed a ceiling of 10 learners for every counselor. But in case where the counselors are not available, eligible counselors are not available, norms can be flexible, but the coordinator has to bring in notes to the regional director. In the notes of regional director, only then. Initially, the number is fixed at 10.
Third question is, remuneration is only 500 or 1000. This is enough, sir, for guiding 2 months, 3 months.
This is enough or not, we cannot comment on that. But the issue is that these are guidelines approved by the IGNOU headquarters, and these are being revised from time to time. So hope the revision will follow soon.
Sir, may you will forward this
Sure.
also. Okay, thank you, sir. Nice to talk to you.
Okay, thank you. Now, due to the paucity of time, it's not possible for to take the questions from all of you. So if you are having any questions, you can mail us so that the same can be replied to. Now, I would like to request our esteemed Director, Dr. Shahnawaz Ahmad Dar, sir, to please you, sir.
Thank you, Javed Saab.
Sir, I have a question.
So so before starting, as Javed Saab has already said that if there is any question, so please write down in the chat box and we will get back to you. So write down in the chat box along with your email ID, so we'll get back to you with a response. So respected Dr. Mudassir Hassan Butt, Assistant Regional Director, Coordinator of the Government Degree College Sopore, Professor Ayub Saab. So he has been with us from the very beginning of the session. Dear coordinators from all across Kashmir and Ladakh region. And I can see also now coordinator Professor Jan Saab has also joined us. So Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all of you. So I wholeheartedly welcome you all to this very first session with our another important members of our team, the counselors. So it gives me really an immense pleasure to interact with all of you during this very first session. As you all know, the session was basically planned today with the approved academic counselors of few selected programs, keeping in view the importance of those programs and the importance of the components of those programs, all of which all of you are dealing with. At the very outset, I would like to congratulate all of you for playing your proactive role in the guidance and supervision of our dear learners. So we thank you for that. Because you are a part of our family, you are a part of our team. So IGNOU Regional Center Srinagar believes in the teamwork. So believes in the role of each and every member of this team. So that's very important. And as I said, counselors are one of the very important members of our team. So they too are playing their role. So we had been doing and we have taken several measures from last 1 year in the interest of our learners and other stakeholders, coordinators, counselors, and others. And so far as my opinion is concerned, after taking over as the Regional Director of IGNOU Regional Center Srinagar, the first thing that I noticed and I found important was that opening the channels of communication. So that I found is very important in the ORIAL system. That I found is very important in having proper communication with our learners is that they need to be provided the proper information. So for that, the channels of communication have to be opened, both at the regional center, at the study center, and the online mode that is now becoming a norm. So we judiciously utilized this online platform for communicating with our learners from time to time, with our coordinators from time to time. You know, I don't know how many of you have visited our website from time to time, so from last 1 year or so. So we have started that communication by conducting some online sessions, online live sessions with our learners. So we have kept some sessions for our learners, some sessions for our coordinators, and some sessions for our counselors also. But I could not see any counselor joining those sessions that we conducted from past 9 months, past near about 10 to 11 months. Although coordinators used to join those sessions, because we have kept those open sessions on every first and third Monday of every month, in which we have basically kept those sessions for our coordinators and counselors. But unfortunately, not even a single counselor turned up for those sessions. So that was something that we found that that should not have been done. But anyway, there were many things pending due to COVID, because COVID has basically disturbed that normal schedule of activities, normal routine of activities that were being conducted both in the ODL and the regular mode. So from last 1 year, we are trying to basically address all those backlogs, address all those pendencies that were there in terms of our assignments, in terms of our practical components, in terms of our projects, dissertations, in terms of some of the financial components as well. So we tried to basically address those concerns of our learners from last 1 year, and to some extent we have been able to address them. Okay, so not all, maybe some may be still over there. So I can say that it took us near about entire that 1 year almost to clear those backlogs. And I must also tell you, being the important members of this family, Regional Center Srinagar has moved a long way from the past 1 year. Your Regional Center Srinagar is this time running a Sumayam Prabha Studio, in which we are running the TV channel number 19 from our Regional Center Srinagar. Regional Center Srinagar has been made the nodal regional center for some programs, like we are running the online counseling from the Regional Center Srinagar for the programs like tourism, Urdu. I would also like to apprise all of you that IGNOU Regional Center Srinagar has also been made part of an international project that's called as eVidya Bharati. I hope many of you will be aware about that program of the Ministry of External Affairs. So that's a kind of an outreach educational services to some of the countries in the Africa. So our Regional Center Srinagar is providing those educational services to 19 countries, 19 African countries. So we are running two programs under that eVidya Bharati project. One is DEC and second is CFN. So we have also crossed the number of the learners. We have also crossed the number of 54,000 mark in 2022 in terms of the number of the enrollments that we have under the Regional Center Srinagar. And by this way, no doubt, Regional Center Srinagar was already one of the largest regional centers in terms of the enrollment, and it is one of the center now it has crossed the 54,000 mark. So no doubt quantity do matter, but we have to focus on now quality. So that's very important. So we have taken several measures, as I already said, that as has already been discussed as ARD Saab and during the question and answer session. So you have came to know about various measures that we have already taken regarding capping on the number of assignments, on the number of synopses, on the number of dissertations, on the number of the sessions that can be given to a particular counselor, because we believe in the rational distribution of these academic assignments, academic tasks that are connected with the IGNOU. Because we believe that after the COVID, so much has changed. You know that now the counseling is not being done entirely in the offline mode. Counseling is now done in the offline and online mode. 60% offline, offline and 40% online. So same way, there are many measures that have been taken from the IGNOU headquarters, and we are following them. So that's why we keeping those of the concerns in view, as well as keeping that thing in view that most of the academic counselors should be involved in the various academic tasks which are connected with IGNOU. So that's why we are time and again passing those directions, coming up with the circulars, issuing the notices to our study centers, to our program study centers, to our learner support centers, for following that rational distribution, that each and every approved academic counselor should get his due share. So I do believe, and I do agree with some of you, that there may be still many academic counselors who may not be getting the chance to do their part so far as the IGNOU assignments are concerned. So, but I assure you that we are taking due care of those concerns of our learners. We are even making doubly sure that whenever we approve any counseling session, whether that is online or offline, so we do take this thing into consideration that a counselor should not be repeated in most of the cases. As earlier said, that in those cases wherein there is possibility of utilizing the services of other approved academic counselors, so the coordinators have been instructed to do that. Wherever there is paucity of the counselors, or where there are some limitations, so only in those extreme cases, counselor can be repeated either for the evaluation or for the counseling, or for any other component like we are discussing here, synopsis, dissertation, other things. So there are many concerns from your side. There are many concerns that we have from the regional center Srinagar over the period of time. We have analyzed it, we have experienced it, and we do have concern about those things. And we believe that feedback is very important. Feedback is very much valuable. The feedback from our learners, feedback from our team members, counselors, coordinators, program in charges, our staff at the regional center Srinagar, that's very important. So feedback is something which basically guides you over the period of time, and accordingly the necessary steps can be taken so that that come up, so that can be addressed with the passage of time. This session is particularly about those very important courses that I mentioned in the beginning, whether that is MA PC, that is MA Education, that is MAN, MSc DFSM, or MCA, BCA, MBA, MSc Environmental Science. So these are some very important programs that we are running from the regional center Srinagar, and about which we have many concerns. The concerns that are there are regarding our learners, because there are many grievances that we receive time and again through the online mode, through our communication channels, telephone, and through mail regarding these components, that students are not being properly guided, or the students are being misguided on one or the other pretext, or on one or the other issue. So I do agree that all the approved academic counselors who are working with us, so they are not doing those things. But there are few of the counselors which are a point of concern for the regional center Srinagar and for all of us here who are a part of our team. So because of those important, those very issues, the degree of our students and the precious time of our learners is getting wasted. Degree of our students is getting delayed. The precious time of our learners is getting wasted, and that's something serious concern that we have, and that you too should have as a part of this team. Unfortunately, we had to take action against some counselors, approved academic counselors also, because as already discussed in the session, as already said by Mudassir Saab, that we received the complaints where even counselors were involved in receiving money. Counselors were even involved in acting as a channel through which the students were misguided. So that is something very serious issue that we all have to take concern of and that we all have to work on. So unfortunately, we have to remove the approval of many of the counselors at many study centers. I will not name here the counselors which have been disengaged. I will not name here the study centers wherein they were working or they have done those wrong practices. So I will not name them, but we have taken the action. We have taken the action. So it's not from one center, it's from many centers. It's from many centers, unfortunately. So I found out a serious concern regarding counselors also, that most of the counselors who are in the process of guiding or supervising these important components of these important programs, they are also misinformed. They are also lacking information. As some of my team members, Mr. Sajad and somebody else was also talking about, that they don't have any information. That they don't have any information, even though they are approved counselors, they have the research experience, but they don't have that information, or they are not aware about those guidelines which have been set by IGNOU. They are not aware about the norms of the IGNOU. So I would like to request all the approved academic counselors, so that we have been talking about time and again, that please at least go through the program guide, program manual. So that's easily available on the website of IGNOU, so that you can go through, because time and again there are different there are various norms which have been revised, there are guidelines which have been revised, and those program guides have been accordingly updated. So in case of MBA, in case of PGDIS, in case of MSc Environmental Science, so the guidelines are not same, the guidelines are different. Whether it is in case of who can be a counselor, whether it's in case of what are the guidelines for framing those academic components, whether it is synopsis or dissertation or a project report or preparing a workbook. So there are different guidelines. So you can get the better information about those guidelines by first and foremost downloading the program guide, that program manual, and going through it, so that you will be better informed, and accordingly you can guide your learners, you can guide your students. We have started a series of meetings. These meetings have been started with the coordinators earlier, with the learners, and now we are starting a series of meetings with the counselors. We have started these meetings with the counselors of these very important programs, as you all are aware about. But I can see we don't have good number of participation in this session. So we are going to continue with these sessions, but for the other programs, not for these programs that we have done. So we are going to have a series of programs with these induction programs, these orientation programs with the counselors of different study centers of different programs. So it's a priority now from the regional center Srinagar, now that we are working on many things. So we are going to come close to our learners, these approved academic counselors, and work with them. Because as I said, that it is their feedback, so it will help us. So you are working on ground, you are working with the learners, you are working at the study centers, so you have the better understanding of the concerns of the learners. You have your own concerns also regarding these programs. So I think that will go in the long way to make these programs, make these components, make this mechanism even more effective, even more transparent, even more learner oriented. So that's what basically we are targeting by starting these series of sessions, series of induction and orientation programs. So online, these induction programs are being started. So they will be continued in the coming week. I hope there are some concerns of the learners regarding some pending bills also. So let me apprise all of you. So all the pending bills which are of the previous financial years, before I joined it, before we started working on these components from last 1 year, so we have forwarded all the previous pending bills of different programs to the IGNOU regional IGNOU headquarters for their approval, because all those bills which are pending from the previous financial years, so we cannot release them until and unless we don't get the financial approval to release them for this for this financial year. So that we have done in the last year. So we have taken it up with the RSD. So we are pursuing that. So what, as and when we are getting any kind of guidelines, any kind of approval or any kind of further guidelines regarding those things, so we'll be doing the needful from our side. But the bills of the 22, 23, 23, 24, so we'll be released instantly as and when we'll be receiving the bills, either of the counseling or of the supervision or any other bills. So we'll be doing it from our side that the bills should be released as soon as possible. So as I said, as I started in the beginning, that this is a team effort. Okay, so we are working as a team. So your role is very important. All of you have to play your important role. So all of you have to be actively involved in streamlining this system, because we know copy paste culture is there. We know, unfortunately, purchasing of these components is there. So that we have been working from last 1 year. So, but we need your support, your feedback regarding these components also, so that we can work on them and we can make them much better. We basically have to create a mechanism so that students don't have to move to any third person for any help. So counselors have to play their role. The coordinators have to play their role. So once the counselors and coordinators understand their role, play their part, provide that due services, that supervision, that guidance to the learners. So I don't think that any learner will move to any third person or to any food state shop or to any cyber cafe for any kind of assistance. So our counselors, our dear counselors, have to play their important role. So we have to create a mechanism where the scope of any ready-made purchases of these essential components is totally discouraged. So I hope all of us can do it together. So I hope all of us can play our important role and we can be a part of this change. So thank you very much for joining this session. Thank you very much for being with us. And we do believe and we do hope that these sessions will go in the interest of the sessions, in the interest of the better mechanism, in the interest of creating better mechanism and the interest of our learners. And they just don't remain these online sessions. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed presentation regarding the preparation and all the modalities. Sir, we have, in fact, I think he has left. Coordinator 1210, Professor Ayub was with us. Ayub sir, if you are there, you can just put your say. And we have also with us Professor John. So he was here since beginning. Yes, Professor John Mohammed. You have any say about this?
John Saab wants to say something.
Yes, John Saab.
Hello, good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum
I
salam.
believe now, to the end, it's very taxing to say something when some sage minds have already put in their comments. But I'll still venture out to say, but it will require a lot of courage. I would, first of all, I thank Honorable Regional Director, IGNOU, Professor Dr. Shahnawaz Ahmed Dar Sahab, for these stupendous efforts vis-a-vis different ODL services at the offering at the national level, international level, via Indira Gandhi National Open University. I also thank, in the same breath, Assistant Regional Director, IGNOU, Regional Center Srinagar, Dr. Mudassir Hassan Saab, Javed Iqbal Saab, such a wonderful team at play and at work. I feel that, yes, this was one of the pressing issues which needed to be addressed right away, because this project work in different courses, in the whole host of courses, is a at the same time a kind of a concern as well, because this involves a lot of what we call as issues regarding the plagiarism, regarding the ready-made availability at different tuck shops, I call them, outside different study centers or anywhere in and around. I believe, yes, if there is a kind of a foolproof mechanism in place, and that shall ward off the practices that are at play. Like some approved counselors who have doctorates to their credit should only be approved, and the same list should be forwarded to Regional Center Srinagar, so that any thesis, any project which is signed by the counselor other than the counselors approved, or other than the counselors that have been, in fact, confidentially sent to the regional director for the perusal before the thesis is actually approved. I think that would be one of the important points that would ward off this practice of this, what we call it, these malpractices at play. Number two, and I believe that certain honest lies also with the counselors. They must, because they are approved counselors with an A grade, A triple positive university, such a wonderful university, and they must also realize that the responsibility that they have, that they must not approve any thesis. For that matter, there must be zero tolerance for anything that is beyond what we call as the quality, beyond, or that is something which is short of any quality material that a counselor should, a learner should be presenting. Because tomorrow he's going to get a degree and he's going to compete at a national level with some students who have their degrees from other, what we call as national universities, central universities. So I guess this is one of the important, hope the pressing issues will be solved, and hope we coordinators at our own places shall play some promising roles in minimizing this practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Jan Saab. Now I would like to request my colleague, Mr. Shaukat from examination section, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Mr. Shaukat.
Javed Saab, please note down the queries and the questions that have been posed by the counselors in the chat box also, so that we can follow up and we can address to those queries.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, Jaj Sir. It's my privilege to express my sincere thanks to all the coordinators, experts, supervisors, and academic counselors who have spared their valuable time and put forth their suggestions in improving the system of quality of evaluation and education of these programs for which the program was conducted. My special thanks goes for the Regional Director, Dr. Shahnawaz Sir, Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Mudassir Sir, to conduct such fruitful and valuable session for our learners. Thank you, and over to Javed Sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Shaukat, now with these words, today's session come to an end. Thank you, and thanks for joining. Have a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you.